What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Punch Club. As you can see, this time we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing an interview. Today we got cold case detective Kenneth Maines with us. You might know him from
History Channel, Reels Channel, maybe Science Channel, which is a crazy one to think that a cold case detective would be on a Science Channel. And maybe Investigative Discovery. That's how I remember all the TV shows.
You might have also ever tuned into his YouTube channel, Unsolved No More, or read one of his many books. All those great achievements, all those big things stacked into one lifetime is why we have him on the channel today. Today we're going to be discussing mindset, self-discipline, and drive to pursue your goals. Most of you might not know that Detective Kenneth Maines is also my uncle. That's why I am lucky enough to get this interview with him today when a lot of people can't. So thank you for that.
Well, it's the most important thing is that I'm your uncle. Everything else is secondary. So I have no problem helping. This is something that I really like and enjoy is boxing, number one. And to see you do it and to create this channel, it's almost like I can almost live vicariously through you. You know, being 50 years old and you're doing something that I always wanted to do. So number one, you always help family. And number two, it's a bonus when that family member has the same drive, dedication, determination, and likes the things that you like as well. So with that, hey, I'm ready to roll, man.
So first question, if you wouldn't mind, inform the listeners a little bit about yourself and your background.
Okay, so we already established that I'm your uncle. I was a detective, and I still consider myself a detective.
Absolutely.
So this journey for me started in 2003 when I went to the police academy. I never wanted to be a cop. I wanted to be a detective. But I know that you can't just jump to the top. You have to work your way through levels to get where you want to be, and that's in any vocation.
Sure.
But detective is where I wanted to be, so I went to the police academy, became a cop, worked narcotics for undercover for a number of years. The FBI came and recruited me and said, "Hey, do you want to work undercover for us?" I said no, and then I was like, "You're an idiot. You gotta work. You gotta work for them." So I ended up working for the FBI for 2 years. Went to the district attorney's office where I started my cold case career. He had hired me to solve a cold case, and I failed at that, but I took on the challenge nonetheless. And I retired when television came calling, and I started working that route. And then the YouTube thing, Unsolved No More, provided me an outlet after I left the district attorney's office to still do what I love to do, and that's work on cold cases. And so I'll do a television appearance now and again. I'll do some interviews once in a while, Fox News or News Nation. But for the most part, I stick to myself, stick to my channel, and just do what my passion tells me to do.
Sure. And you kind of hit what our next question was, what are you doing now?
Yep, YouTube is, I don't consider myself a YouTuber. I think that's a derogatory statement to me. To everybody else, that might be what they want to be called. I'm a detective.
Sure.
And I use YouTube as a platform to get these cases out into the public. And I focus a lot on older unknown cases. There's so many. There's over 200,000 cold cases in just America. So for me to jump on the Johnny-come-lately wagon and whatever's popular in true crime is not what I do. I like the old cold cases that no one knows about that deserve justice just as much as the ones in the mainstream media. And that's what I do today.
Sure. Time doesn't change the need to be
That's
solved.
right. That's right. There's no expiration date on justice.
Is there any pivotal points in your life that you can look back to that kind of put you on this path?
The Marine Corps was certainly one of them, and we share that common bond. It and the people that were never in the Marine Corps don't know that. You know, it's I was quote unquote, I would say, troubled kid. Always had good morals, I believe, because that's the foundation on which I was raised. But I partied a lot. I drank a lot. I chased women. That was my life when I was 18 years old. The Marine Corps sapped that out of you real quick.
Absolutely.
And it did change me. It matured me a lot. It made me have goals and how to accomplish those goals. And I would say that the Marine Corps was besides my father, was the biggest influence on me becoming successful and doing what I do.
And you see that in a lot of people that join, not just the Marine Corps, other branches, though. It gives them that sort of discipline or that mindset to be able to pursue things that if they wouldn't have joined, maybe they wouldn't end up there. Would you say that?
I would say that's 100% accurate because you have to set goals in life. You have to have that mindset as, hey, I'm going to accomplish this. Because when you're younger, which I was at one point in time, and you are, you sometimes, when you think of your future, what do you want your future to be? Well, when I was younger, I wanted my future not to be working for the man and having somebody over top of me 24/7, doing a job that I couldn't stand doing, working at a factory, something that I just didn't want to do. I wanted to be able to experience life and be happy. And I knew it was going to be hard. Going to college was going to be hard. Putting myself through college was going to be hard. Going through Marine Corps was going to be hard. Going to the police boot camp was going to be hard. But I knew if I accomplished those things now, while I was young, when I got older, when I'm 44 to 50, I could retire, which I did at 44, and I worked for myself and put myself in those positions because I had that discipline and mindset back then.
For sure. And I would say that a lot of people don't look at it the same way. They might want to get here or there. They might want to pursue this, but then they never really apply themselves, and they get stuck in this rat race of life, and they just end up not living life, is the way that I would say it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So talk about something that most of my viewers are here to see is boxing. My uncle was one of the reasons I sparked boxing in me as a kid. You could say just talking about it, or Rocky, his love for Rocky, which we will get there, and which you guys know I have the same desire or love for as those movies. But how do you feel about boxing, and why do you feel that way?
Love boxing. I always have been a boxing fan. When I was in 5th, 6th grade, I used to get boxing magazines delivered to my house. And I would read them at breakfast when I was eating cereal. Back then, it was Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Ray Boom Boom Mancini, who was my favorite boxer. Just a cornucopia. I like that word.
That's a big one.
of boxers that I could rattle off. So then watching their fights was something when YouTube came along that I really enjoyed, is
Sure.
watching the old fights. But I always had a love for boxing. I don't know where it came from. It's because it's primitive. I equate it with wrestling because it's been around for so long. Not like jiu-jitsu or the UFC. That's just lately. It's primitive. Somebody have been throwing hands for millions of years.
Absolutely.
Back to the caveman. And if you can define that and get technical and do the things that you need to do, it's a beautiful thing to watch.
It's that sweet science.
That's right. That's why. Yeah.
So you mentioned a lot of boxers that you watched, you looked up to.
Mm-hmm.
If you could just think back, one boxing match that always comes to mind, one of your favorites, what would it be?
Boy. Well, growing up, one of my favorites that I actually watched live maybe it wasn't a favorite of mine, but I vividly recall it, is Mike Tyson getting knocked out by Buster Douglas. I remember when I was a young teenager, Tyson was tearing through everything, everybody.
Indestructible.
Just it was a beauty to watch. And I had gone out that night, and I knew, and I wasn't watching the fight. I was trying to get home to watch it, and I arrived home late, and I just assumed the fight was over because Tyson never usually went out of the second or third round. And I got home, and my dad was in front of the TV, and I was like, "What are you watching?" He's like, "The fight." And I'm like, "It's still going?" He's like, "Yeah, he's losing." I'm like, "Get out of here. No way." He's like, "Yeah." So I sat down with my dad, and we watched it. And when Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas, it was like, I can't even explain. It was like a dream. It was like, that is not happening. That's how indestructible that the media made him feel. But not just the media, he really was. And he's, of course, he kind of went downhill after that, after he lost his confidence a little bit. But I remember that fight vividly.
Sure.
I think it was 1990 would be my guess. That's when it was.
Kind of age you a little bit there.
Now, my favorite fight that I've ever watched, I think, was probably Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Probably the first one. Maybe the second one. They're also good. My favorite boxer, Rocky Marciano, his fight with Jersey Joe Walcott was phenomenal. And I could talk about Rocky Marciano for days, because he epitomizes, like, when you look at somebody as a hero in the athletic world, you try to encompass what they have that you like. And for Rocky Marciano, it was heart. He was short. He was stocky, 185 pounds. Yet he was 49-0, 43 knockouts. There were more talented fighters than him, and he beat them all. Because he had determination. He had heart, and nobody out-trained him. And I think people get away from cardio a lot, but when you get into a street fight, 30 seconds, the guy's blown, and all you got to do is outlast him. And, I've learned that from chasing in the police department, when guys would run. Sure, right off the gate, they're good for 30, 45 seconds. You just got to keep them in sight.
Sure.
And then they're like, all right, I give up. And that's when you smack and ram them right through and put them in the ground. And, hey, that's the consequences of running.
Sure.
So cardio is very, very important.
I think that's something that people that aren't involved in combat sports or other sports in general don't take into account. You get in a street fight and they get out there, maybe they don't breathe or they don't have any technique at all. And then 20, 30 seconds in, they're like, wow, I'm gassed.
Yeah.
And that's when you're getting real bad trouble. So that's something that you pointed out.
It's a bad feeling in a fight to get gassed.
Sure.
It's a horrible feeling.
You get in that lizard brain. Something we talked about on my channel is having the conditioning to be able to think even when your body is pretty much asking you just to do the basics. Just stop. Honestly, because your body will ask you to stop way before your mind, or your mind will ask you to stop way before your body will actually give out.
Right.
And people, if you're not in tune with that, then, I don't know, if you're not, I don't know where to go with that. I don't know what I'm trying to say. If you're not in tune with that, you can find yourself in trouble.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Yeah.
Sure. Now going to the mindset side of things, not leaving boxing just yet, but what can you tell us, like your views on work ethic? Obviously, you've accomplished a lot in your life, a lot more than people can accomplish in one lifetime. So obviously, you have to have a very certain type of work ethic.
Yeah, I think work ethic is paramount in any vocation, whether it's boxing, whether it's being a detective, a veterinarian, or an actor. I think the best in every vocation, you will find that they have a good work ethic. And I think you get that, the foundation from that is how you're brought up. And I can't stand lazy people. I just, I don't understand that mindset. And, if you're going to do anything in life, no matter what it is, why not be great at it? And the only way you can achieve that success is to work hard.
Sure.
And whatever barriers in front of you, you just push it down, go through it, and keep pushing. You know, it's not about how hard you hit; it's about how hard you can get hit and
For
keep
sure.
moving forward.
For sure. I think that's something when people lose, they have this mindset and they're like, I want this. And then the motivation for it starts to go away and they give up pretty early, you know, and you kind of just got to be like, remind yourself what you want and why you're trying to get there. And you got to do all the things you don't want to do. You know, maybe it's something tedious or something really hard or what
if you really want it, if you really want it, it's not a passing phase.
Sure.
You will accomplish it. If you don't, then you know it's not meant for you. It is just a passing thought. You look at rock bands that have made it big. Why? They got a good work ethic. They put in the time. Leonard Skinner, they rented this house in the blazing heat of Jacksonville, Florida, and they just went there every day for 12 hours for a year straight and just practice. And when they went to record their music contract, the promoter and the music producer said they were the most rehearsed band we'd ever seen. Sure. So when they went out and played live, it wasn't like, oh, that doesn't sound like it was on the record. Sure. It was exactly the same because they put in the work ethic, and that's the reason they're still remembered today.
And I think that would be the idea of you're not just going to come out just because you have all this pressure. You're not just going to do better. You know, you might do worse, and if you didn't work towards it, who knows what they would have sounded like.
Absolutely.
Being somebody who works for yourself now, and owner of businesses prior and your own business now, could you share some of your thoughts on self-discipline and why that's so important for you?
Self-discipline, you need it in life, not just in your career or your work, but when you have your own business, yeah, you have to have self-discipline because nobody's forcing you to get up in the morning. It's just yourself, and you have to be motivated enough to get up, accomplish what you need. And people sometimes don't understand the need for self-gratification, meaning when you get done at the end of the day and you look yourself in the mirror and you're like, I did the best I could do today.
Sure.
You know, I accomplished something, whether it's running a mile, whether it's, you know, getting that book signed and out on time for your boss, whatever it is, you accomplish it. When you don't have that, and you can't look yourself in the mirror like that, it makes you almost feel like, what's my purpose? Why am I here? So I think it's important for everybody to do that self-check. Look in the mirror and say, did I do the best that I could today? Was I the best Kenny Maines that I could be today? Not yesterday, today. And if you can say, yeah, I'm satisfied with that, then you go to bed and you achieve peace. And that's all we want in life, is to have peace.
Now, would you say, as far as the self-gratification and having a purpose, some people, I feel like they need a sign to know their purpose, and some people go out and look for a purpose, and then some people live without it. What would be...
I feel bad for people that live without it, but there are people like that in this world. You're not going to get a sign. You know, growing up, hey, this is the route. Sometimes, you know, there might be a couple things, and you're not sure which route to go down, but eventually you're going to go down a path where you're like, I enjoy this, I like this, and I can see a brighter future ahead because of it, and you follow it. If you fail, you fail, and then maybe you'll get on another trail, or maybe you'll try this again. But you have to put yourself out there and try, and that is probably the biggest lesson, is that you have to try.
Sure.
Don't be afraid to fail. I mean, I failed. Like I said in the very beginning of this, that cold case.
Yep.
The detective or the DA hired me specifically. Hey, you just solved this cold case. We have this other one. Here you go. Solve it. cocky 32-year-old self said, no problem.
Sure.
And I spent 10 years on it straight, and I never solved it. You go through lulls and peaks because of it. But in the end, as I said before, I can look myself in the mirror and said, you know what? I did the best that I could do. I'm not giving up. You don't ever give up. But for right now, I did the best that I could do.
And you don't need to have every day. You don't have to achieve something huge or drastic when you're pursuing whatever it is that
small goals.
Sure.
Small accomplishments.
And celebrating them along the way.
Absolutely.
So we talked about some of those major challenges that you've been faced with. Obviously, you've taken on a lot in your life. How do you stay motivated and focused when you're faced with some of these challenges that probably seem overwhelming?
Well, I think everybody gets overwhelmed in life. It happens. We all get challenges, and we all kind of get into that little depressed state. But you just look at the bigger purpose of things and say, listen, I got a roof over my head. I have a family that loves me and cares for me. And when you strip down all of that and you just have the basics of life, they're good. And when they're good, I'm good. And no matter what obstacles come, you post through them. You go through the peaks and the valleys. People are going to die that you love. That's life. And you should mourn. But you got a life to live, and you live it.
Sure.
And that's what you have to do. And that's my mindset, and it's helped me, I guess, be successful, depending on your definition of success. Mine is be happy. If you're happy and you're peaceful, I think you're successful. In your career, if you're doing something that you love to do, you're successful.
Sure.
It's not about being a millionaire. It's about being comfortable and being content. And I am. And so therefore, I have friends that come up to me from high school and they'll say, oh, you're successful, congratulations, you're famous and all this. Listen, it's not about that. I am content. I am content with what I have in life, and I don't go above my means. I don't go below my means. I just have what I have. I worked hard for it. And I'm happy. And to me, that's success.
Sure, and that takes a lot of years to get to. It's not something that happens overnight. Now, if you reach that level of success, would you have any advice for viewers that got to where they wanted to be, and then they're like, now what?
Well, it depends, I guess, on a lot of factors. One of them being age. If you think you got what you want at age 23, I'm here to tell you, you need to rethink it, because you got a lot of life to live. And things will change throughout the course of your life. So, I think the overall goal in life is just to be happy and find peace and contentment. So you're not always worried. You're not always anxious. You're not angry. All those things I have been in the past. And I'm hoping that in the future that I won't have that. And that was always been a goal, and to reach contentment. I think I'm there. Hope.
Would you say that you've always viewed it that way? You talked about your younger self and not having goals different at 23 than what you have now. So if you could go back and talk to that younger self, what advice would you give him about that he would understand?
So my father used to always, and my father, your grandfather, is my hero. And one of the things he used to tell me growing up, and I couldn't stand it, he would always tell me to have patience. Patience, he would say. Patience. I couldn't stand it. Now I look back, and if I could tell my 18-year-old self anything, I'd be slow down. Have patience. It'll happen. It'll come. It takes hard work. Have patience. Slow down a little bit, Kenny. That's what I would tell him.
For sure. You're ahead of me. Let's talk a little bit about, you have this huge media presence, the social media platforms that you've spanned across. You have your time on the TV. You've had other interviews before. Is there anything about you that the media might not know, or the people watching this might not know, or might be surprised to know about you?
Well, number one, they might be surprised that I hate social media, even though I have such a presence on there. I don't like it very much. Um, but also, probably that a lot of people, they see the tattoos and they think I'm gruff. And if they really got to know me and know how much I love animals, baby animals, and I watch baby animal videos all the time, and they halfway make me cry. I get enjoyment from that. Watching birds in the bird feeder, things that I thought were stupid when I was 18.
Sure.
And now that I'm 49 years old, going on 50, I find beauty in it. So don't judge a book by its cover. I would leave it at that. Don't be fooled, by tattoos or gruffness or anything like that. There's a softer side, as much as I hate to admit it sometimes. Because I do feel like sometimes I'm getting soft. Like sometimes I'll see I don't know. I was in my hot tub the other day and I seen a squirrel running across the snow. And my first thought was, how's he getting food? He's going to have a hard time today digging through this snow. Why don't he come up to the deck and I'll put some food out for him? And then my other half of my brain said, why are you so soft? You didn't used to be that way. You would have shot that thing and skinned it and ate it for dinner. But with age, I guess, it changes.
Well, you talked about slowing down and having that wisdom to live in the moment. Maybe some people say smell the roses.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is for you.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to slow down a little bit. This world it moves at a fast pace sometimes. Slow down, enjoy your life, but work hard, and you'll achieve success no matter what vocation it is. As long as you have the mindset, you'll be successful. Work hard. Just work hard. My dad used to tell me that all the time on the baseball field. Just hustle. No matter what. You might not be the most talented person out here, but if you hustle, you run down to first base, you dive after those balls, you're going to make an impression. And he was right. And I made a lot of all-star teams and stuff like that because of that. Not talent. It was because I worked harder than the next person. And I noticed that in my career as a cop, as a detective. Listen, you don't get on TV looking the way that I look. I mean, look at my eye. It looks like I sparred Mason last week. Okay? I'm not the most beautiful guy in the world. You get those opportunities because you work hard and you work harder than the next guy. And when I became a cop, I got the narcotics enforcement job and worked undercover for 10 years because I worked harder than everybody else.
Sure.
And the same thing, I got on TV on the History Channel. Why? And had my own TV show on there because I worked harder than everybody else. And so just do that and you'll achieve success.
I think that's very important, that working harder than everybody else. Maybe it's being the last guy in the gym. Wait until coach is like, hey, get out, go home. If there's somebody else working harder than you and you can see that, then personally I feel like you're doing something wrong, or you don't really want it as bad as they do. And as far as boxing goes, I mean, it's this guy versus this guy, and it comes down to the preparation. Who did more cardio? Who trained more? Maybe the guy in the right side of the ring just said, this won't be nothing. The next thing you know, they're out cold.
All right. There's a lot of talkers, especially in your vocation of boxing. People that think they can do it, think they're tough, they don't want to put in the work, or they take a liver shot and they realize it ain't for them.
It's done.
So yeah.
I think that's, people come into a boxing gym or MMA gym, combat sports, and they think, well, I had a couple street fights and I did pretty good. And there's a certain level of talent or per se skill there.
Sure.
And then they come in, and it's very important for people, and this is for people that maybe want to go join the box gym. Put your ego aside, go in with some humility, because people in there, they know their stuff. And boxing is so much more than just, go in, punch each other in the face, which I think a lot of people get wrong. They think, it's just about being tough, being a strong person, being able to take a punch and give a punch. There is skills, there is strategy, and you won't know this until you actually try to apply to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very important.
Well, you brought up a very good point that I want to hit on because I didn't mention it. Being humble is so important. That has gotten me a lot of places as well. I think you have to be confident, and there's a difference between confidence and cocky. And sometimes that's misread. But as long as you know, hey, I'm not cocky. Because, like, when I was in the Marine Corps, I remember people calling me cocky. I remember that. Even in high school, I remember that too. And maybe I was a little bit. Then the older I got, that cockiness kind of transferred to confidence, where I was never called cocky again, but I have been called confident a lot.
Sure.
So I think being humble helps with that. Just, it's the way you're raised. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. Hold the door for somebody, and being a good person. That's what life's about.
For sure.
Being a good person. Be humble, but yet always be confident in what you do.
Well, without confidence, I think why do it?
Confidence
Obviously,
breeds success.
Sure, and confidence isn't just something that you just get. I think that might be the cockiness side of it. Confidence is from putting in the work and the effort and putting in all the miles and the time that you had to set aside instead of, binge watching Netflix.
Right. So. Right. Yep. Yeah, life's been a trip.
So getting down to the last of our questions here. A question I have for viewers that might be watching this because you're on here, luckily enough. If you could solve one unsolved mystery, one that, whether you worked on it or not, what would it be?
Well, I get asked this question a lot. There's a lot. So this book right here is a book I wrote about a case that I worked. This is the case that the district attorney said, hey, solve, and sure. I didn't. The murder victim's sister asked me to write this book. It's the only reason I did it. So the honest answer would be that case. If I could solve any case, it would be that. I deduced it down to, probably 3 people, I think. But then again, I'm not 100% confident. So that would be it. Now, it would be great for me to say, Amelia Earhart mystery. Billy the Kid. Did he really get shot by Pat Garrett? Jimmy Hoffa. Who killed Jimmy Hoffa? Who was D.B. Cooper? Yeah, I want to know all those things.
For sure.
But I had 10 years invested in this, whereas I had a couple minutes invested in the headlines of all those other famous ones.
Sure.
So the answer would be easy for me. It would be Gail Matthews and Tamara Burkheiser murder.
Do you still look over that case?
Every now and again. About a month ago, I woke up at 2:30 in the morning with a dream. It wasn't really a dream. It was something I had already done. It was a phone number that was on this girl's coffee table. And for some reason I dreamt about it. But I knew it was there. But another name came to my mind. And I'm like, why didn't you look at him? And I came downstairs at 2:30 in the morning, got on Google, went through all the files again, and I spent a good 2 hours, 3 hours looking what this guy said. And I have no idea why. It's just something that came to me. But yeah, every now and again I will still look at it.
Sure. And I think that's the reason I asked is you mentioned how you said it was, you said that you felt like you failed. to solve it. But you're still working at it.
Right.
How long has it been since you started this now?
15 years on that case, probably.
And you're still here. You might not put all your effort in it, but it's still that determination that it sits in the back of your mind. And that's why we got you here in the channel today, is I wanted to talk about that and the fact that just that mindset that people don't have anymore. I think it's easier for people to be great now because a lot of people have gotten soft in their own ways, or they just don't want to push to pursue somewhere. They fail and they're like, oh, it's over. Or maybe they want to start a business and their family says, oh, well, why would you do that? You got a good job, you could fail and this could go overboard and then you're screwed. Or you could just go for it.
All right, you got to take the chance.
Sure. There's only way you're going to get there is by taking that chance.
That's it. I mean, if you are satisfied with getting up at 8 in the morning, working a crappy job that you don't like. Now listen, there's crappy jobs out there that need done.
Absolutely.
And they are the backbone of this country. Sanitation workers, working in a factory, somebody serving me breakfast, police officers. Some of these jobs people don't want to do. Maybe they're crappy, but they have to be done. And there are people that enjoy that. They like the security, like you said, of getting up, going to work, coming home, having the roof over their head. They're the backbone of America. And if that's what you want to do, listen, more power to you. I love you. But there's other people who aspire to be more than that. And they don't want to do that. They want to be a filmmaker. They want to make movies. They want to be a professional boxer. Now, some of these acquire some talent, right? You have to find out where that talent lies in order for you to do it. To be a cold case detective, you can do any job without talent, but you might not be successful. I could go in that boxing ring and get lit up, and it's just not my thing. But I become a cold case detective. Well, I'm considered humbly and thankfully and all that, and some of it I don't believe, but one of the top cold case detectives in this country.
Sure.
And when I hear people say that about me, when I hear other professionals that have written books, Dr. Warner Spitz and Cyril Weck, when they say those things, I'm humbled. I feel overwhelmed in a way that from where I started to where I am now, to be considered one of the best, it's because I have a talent for it. Muhammad Ali just didn't become Muhammad Ali. He had a talent for it. But talent alone is not getting him to be the best boxer in the world. Talent alone is not me to be the best cold case detective in America, which I don't believe I am, but some people say that. It's the combination of all of it. The talent, the hard work, the discipline, taking that chance, aspiring, your background. It's all those things that rise you to the top to be the best. And that's what we should aspire in America to be.
And would you say that if you have talent for one thing, but you really want another thing, should you stick with that talent? Because we all know the talent won't get you there alone.
No, you shouldn't. Because maybe that, whatever you're talented for, I might be the best hairdresser in the world. Man, you make that girl's hair look great, but I don't enjoy it. I want to do cold cases. Well, you're not that good at cold cases. I don't care. I'll make myself better.
You're going to get good. Absolutely.
So,
now, we talked a lot about putting in work and just putting your nose down to the grindstone and getting to where you want to be, but you also talked about gratification. How do you find the fine line between work, and then being like, okay, I need to take a break so I don't burn out?
Well, sometimes you do burn out. But there's some people out there that think the working man is a sucker. And they want to take a shortcut. And shortcuts, they get you places quicker, but you're never satisfied with the results. You never get to see everything else that's in the picture. So for me, I think that working hard, putting your nose down, and just doing it, you'll know whether that's your type of person personality. If that's you, you know it. You know it when you start growing up. Um, I I knew it in a way, but I took shortcuts when I was a teenager before the Marine Corps.
Sure.
But again, it took that Marine Corps to compress all those things and say, listen, this is the route you're going, man, and just go. I'll always remember I had this cop that worked with me, and he was a Marine too. But my first day off of probation, meaning, you're on probation. If you do anything wrong, they can get rid of you. First day off, I'm on my own. I can finally ride in a patrol car and pull people over all by myself. Went out on the back porch, and he said to me, I'm going to be chief of police. He was just a patrolman. I said, yeah. And he's like, nobody's going to get in my way. And if they do, I'm going to step right over. He never became chief. In fact, all he ever did was get in trouble. And it was just a different mindset. Like we had talked earlier about somebody being all talk until they get a liver shot. It's the same thing. You may have aspirations to be the best and think that you're going to be, but if you got no talent to go with it, to match everything together, you're just going to be another Joe.
You got to have that work ethic to go along with the dreams. And, we talked about people that don't want to be up here compared to people that do.
And that's okay.
Right.
You need those people in life too.
Sure.
That just are content with digging the ditch, working at the phone, whatever it is. You need those people to make America good. But there's those others that want to be great. The Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, the Rocky Marcianos. And we need those to aspire us and inspire us as well.
Sure. And it all has its own type of work ethic. One thing that my father always told me is the world needs garbage men.
That's right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not.
It's just that mindset of what do you want. And I think you put that very good way, saying that security and that that's how they want to live their life.
Right.
Good for them.
Yeah. Yep.
Last question I have for you here.
Okay.
Unless any more pop up. And I probably know the answer to this, but I want to get into this topic a little bit. If someone came up to you and asked what your favorite movie was and why, or what the best movie in the world is, what would it be?
Rocky 2.
Why?
Rocky 2, I've watched literally 1,000 times since I was a kid. I grew up watching it. Something struck me with it back then, probably when I was 6 years old. Rocky 2 came out, I believe, in 79, maybe 78. And so I would have been 4 or 5 years old. Hooked. And I say Rocky 2 because he wins.
Sure.
Instead of the original Rocky, where he loses. Goes the distance. Great story.
That's also what he wanted to achieve, though.
He did.
He just wanted to
go the distance.
Yep.
So he wasn't another bum from the neighborhood. And I related to that.
Sure.
And I got it. But number 2, he wins. So I get a little extra. Now the rest in the series, I love all the Rocky movies. Rocky 2 was my favorite. And then Rocky Balboa was probably my second favorite.
Sure.
Because I related. He got older, but he still had that fire. There was something. He had that beast inside him. And everybody's left him. His wife died. His son's estranged. And when I remember watching that in the theater and just relating to that. Because we all get old. And when you get there and you start seeing people leaving you and people dying and your friends not coming around anymore, you start feeling lonely. And what do you fall back on? Whatever you love it to do. For me, it's cold cases.
Sure.
For Rocky Balboa, it was boxing.
Sure.
So I related, and I really loved Rocky Balboa. Rocky 3, 4, they're all good. They're all my favorite movies. So it's an easy question to answer, I guess.
Sure. And I mean, I knew the answer. That's why I'm such a big Rocky fan too.
I've watched it a million times.
Talked about it on the channel a lot. I think I mentioned it every video.
I bet you don't even know what. Do you know what like a television scrambled channel is? So we used to have satellite dishes.
Sure.
And if you didn't subscribe to the channel, it would be like squiggly lines and stuff, and you couldn't watch it. You know, that's why they did it.
Sure.
I watched Rocky 4, a whole movie, scrambled. When I was a kid.
That's determination in
That's
itself.
right.
You know?
That's determination and dedication. So.
Either way, I thank you again for giving me this opportunity for the viewers to see this, and I hope that all the talk that we have had about today, about mindset, drive, you know, who you want to be, I hope that you guys can take some of these insights and use them in your own life. You know, that's the whole point of us being here. So I thank you a lot.
Yes, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Punch Club, love it. And I'm sure my viewers on my channel will take a look at it and see what it's like. They can live vicariously through you.
Sure.
Now, one of the things that you have to watch is Mason hitting the pads. I get this goosebumps watching it. When you hear that smack, if you're a boxing fan, it's something that you just love to hear. It's one of those audible sounds when you hear the pop, pop. So, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
it.
All right.